Hello and welcome to the Claiborne County Sheriff Forum here at Sigmund Communications Center. I'm Gary Burchett, the moderator. The program is designed to inform you, the community, about the two candidates for Claiborne County Sheriff. The order in which these candidates will respond was assigned just before the start of the forum. They're seated as drawn. As in past forums, the order in which they will answer will rotate accordingly. Here are the rules for tonight's forum. Each candidate will be given 2 minutes for their opening statement, after which I will ask a question. The candidates will have 2 minutes to respond to that question. All questions will be a general type question for each of the candidates to answer accordingly. At the end, each candidate will have 1 minute to give their closing statements. Candidates, you need to both remember that this is a forum. The time you use to answer your question is your time. You can respond any way you see fit. We'll make this statement. Always need to clarify that slander or mudslinging will not be tolerated. I guess we would pull the plug quickly on that for both of you. Please remember, the agenda is coming up August the 2nd. Early voting starts on July 13th, and it runs through July the 28th. Now, for the introductions and the first question, the opening statement. Sir, what is your name?
My name is David Ray. I'm currently the Sheriff of Claiborne County. I am born and raised here in this county. I'm the 7th living generation from Claiborne County. I married my high school sweetheart, and we have one daughter, we have one grandson, and one great-grandson who is 3 years old. I have been sheriff now for 12 years. When I came into office, we had a very, very hard time building the department back to standards. As you may know, we had a sheriff that did not want to come to work. It has been my privilege and honor for the people to elect me 3 straight times to hold this office, and we have trained and trained and trained our officers. We've tried to find the best officers to fill the positions for the Claiborne County Sheriff's Office that is available in this county. We have had a very good cooperation from the county court in funding the budget to provide them with the training, the best equipment, and get them to a level we're proud of, and we hope to continue to do that. Being sheriff is not an easy job. Every body in the United States wants to run for sheriff more than any other office there is. And I know, I was born and raised in law enforcement. My father was sheriff here when I was in high school, and times were rough then. We didn't have long distance, everything was long distance, and the telephones from Tazewell to Harriet. I saw the time when the sheriff in this county did not have radios in their vehicles. So I'm very proud of the things that we've accomplished since I've been sheriff. I'm proud of every person who has worked for me. We've lost some good employees and went on to better jobs, and I've supported that. Thank you very much for having this forum for us here today, Dr. Burchett.
Thank you. Yes, sir. To my left, identify yourself and make your opening statement.
I am Bobby Brooks. I started my law enforcement career in Hancock County in 1986. I worked as a deputy, sergeant over patrol, investigator the last 3 years as chief deputy, and was involved with the daily operations and management of the sheriff's office, including the jail. 1994, I completed Trooper Academy and was stationed. My duty post was Claiborne County, and I've been here ever since. Married a girl from Claiborne County, Cindy Carter. I have 5 grandchildren. During my time working for the state, I have attended every training I could get because it was free, and I've investigated the whole broad spectrum of crimes and prosecuted. during that time, I have worked all across East Tennessee and Middle Tennessee with other agencies and other departments. I've watched what works and what doesn't work, and how things can be mismanaged and fall apart. I believe in a strong chain of command. When it works, that comes from working with the state all those years. I've recently retired, and I would like to use my knowledge and training to be your next sheriff.
Thank you. Our first question has been designed to be answered by each of the candidates, and I will ask simply, I think you are the first person on the draw. No, we're this way. Thank you, sir. The first question, Mr. Brooks, what do you see as the #1 problem facing Claiborne County?
Absolutely, it's going to be the drug problem. The drug problem is out of hand. It's not just here, it's across the United States. But it has to be attacked from the street up. You have to have a drug enforcement program put in place. As sheriff, I would bring back and introduce a drug interdiction team and bring back a K9 to attack this on the street level, work up to confidential informants, and then make your arrest. This is doable, but it's going to be tough work.
Mr. Ray?
Thank you. There's no doubt about drugs being a #1 problem in our county as well as surrounding counties. I'm a member of the 8th Judicial Task Force with the District Attorney General and the other sheriffs in his judicial district, which is the 8th. We meet every 2 months. We swap their intelligence from other counties, and we work closely with the TBI and the Narcotic Task Force, along with the DEA, and along with the other joining sheriffs in Bell County and in Lee County, Virginia. I'm very proud of how we have taken on the war against drugs. We stopped counting the arrests and convictions at 1,400 people about 4 years ago. I can't tell you the amount, but I can tell you our jails are overcrowded. We would not have to have a jail in Claiborne County if it wasn't for the drug problem. But the drug problems have changed in the past 12 years. It's gone from this pill business to methamphetamine and heroin and, of course, fentanyl. That is killing people. It's killed people in this county, and the legislators, the governor of this state, and the federal government has passed laws that we are now enforcing with the help of the state of Tennessee and of the federal government to stamp out some of this drugs that's coming into Claiborne County from the cartel out of Mexico. I can assure you that you will see more than a dozen indictments if they've not been released from the Knoxville federal courts within the next 2 to 3 weeks. They've already been picked up in this county. My SWAT team assisted the federal and the state investigators pick up 12 about 2 weeks ago, and we are fighting drugs every day.
Mr. Brooks, how would you work with the other police and law enforcement departments in this area?
Absolutely. I've always worked in my whole career to assist any way I can. Working with all first responders and all agencies is very important. Not to overtake or run the show for them, but just to assist them in whatever they ask for. Work with all agencies, state agencies, federal agencies, to assist and provide pretty much whatever they ask for, and to let them know that you're transparent and willing to work and cooperate with them in any way. As trooper, I've done that all across East Tennessee. Worked with other agencies and developed a good rapport with everybody.
Mr. Wright, can you answer that same question, sir?
I did.
How would you work with the other police forces in the area?
Well, we absolutely cooperate and work with the other agencies, especially with the cities of Tazewell and New Tazewell. I've always felt that there's no place for jealousy when it comes to working with law enforcement. I don't care if that is with the Fish and Game people. I don't care if it's with the Tennessee Highway Patrol, the DEA, ABC, and the federal government, the DEA, FBI, TBI. We have a very good relationship with the other agencies and have been successful. We have many convictions in the past 5 years that has sent the people to the penitentiary for over 30 years. When you start convicting people and they're spending federal time at 20 and 30 years, you're getting into some of the hardcore people that are dealing drugs. Now, Claiborne County is not equipped to go after some of the bigger guys because of the connections they have outside the state of Tennessee and outside the United States of America. But with that cooperation and sharing intelligence with DEA officials, with the FBI officials, ABC and other state and federal agencies that we know and work with, and they have the confidence in us, we provide them often with informants. I personally don't work informants. I give those that I set up to my narcotics division. I never ask who they have bought narcotics from until the operation is complete. When it's complete, we go to the grand jury and indict them, and when we go to arrest them, that's when I ask, who have we caught? But I give them information every day about narcotics and have my narcotic division meet to share that intelligence with other agencies when it leaves our county.
Mr. Brooks, you know this is a big county.
Absolutely.
And it stretches east and west a great deal. How would you police this county and stay within your budget effectively?
First off, you'd have to work in zones. And that deputy would work in that zone to cut down on response time and to patrol the back roads. And if they work in that zone, they work by themselves. And if they need backup, they'll just have to radio in and get backup. But I think as big as this county is, that's very important. And I've been all over the county talking to people, and they're upset because they never see a patrol car. And that is one way to alleviate that problem. If they do the zone defense and cover as much as they can, and also do property checks again. That was very popular in days past. And work with the community and do community policing and just look at the surroundings and look at the vehicles and the four-wheelers and Mr. Smith's yard. And if there's somebody around that area, I mean, just get back to basic community policing. That's what I've always done, and it's what I will continue to do.
Okay. Mr. Ray?
Community policing is absolutely necessary to obtain information and intelligence and try to determine who is involved with your next door neighbor. Nobody wants a drug dealer living in their backyard. Zone patrolling works in some areas. It works in the cities better than it does the counties. Every year that I have been sheriff, we're averaging about 24,000 to 25,000 calls that we answer. We answer every call that comes in 911, regardless if it's an accident, regardless if it's a reckless driver, if it's a barking dog. I don't care what it is, that case is open and we answer that call until the officer completes it and comes back to 911 and says that call has been taken care of with an arrest or with the offense report. And I'm telling you today, it takes money and plenty of equipment. And the way we have our schedule set up in our county today is I keep a roving sergeant to supervise 4 cars that's available, 2 on the south side of the river, 2 on the north side of the river. Now you may call that zoning if you want to, but I try to get our officers in a location to where they can respond within 10 to 15 minutes to any location north or south of the river unless it's in Clearfield. And we take those calls in Clearfield as well. I want to be nearby when we have these tragic events where EMTs are called, accident scenes and suicides and all these other things. And I'll tell you, we don't appreciate unless you work with these first responders. They are a necessary agency, and we love to work with them.
We're enjoying listening to the answers of the questions. We'll take a break and be right back.
The moment I stepped foot onto LMU's campus, I knew this was where I belonged. I went to a small high school in San Antonio, Texas, and I was looking for a similar college experience. LMU's small classrooms provided me with hands-on instruction and an intimate learning environment. This allowed me to build strong relationships, which helped to shape the person I am today. Lincoln Memorial University isn't just a school, it's a family.
We are interviewing our two candidates for sheriff of Claiborne County. Our next question will go to Mr. Ray. This is the question. So much publicity, so much heartache, so much tough stuff going on in our school systems. My question to you, what are your ideas for school safety and to protect our children for the future of Claiborne County?
It's absolutely a necessity. I've been meeting with the school board and the budget committee for the county for the last 3 to 4 months. Had an opportunity to help inspect some of the schools throughout the county. There was recommendations made from my department, school department, and some other state officials. And the number one thing that the schools in Claiborne County haven't had is a school resource officer. That recommendation has been made to the budget committee. The budget committee has made that recommendation to the county executives, the county court members. That vote will be coming up. The first vote was 100% from every elected county commissioner, I think, but the final vote will be coming up in a few days. They have funded 12 officers for the next sheriff to train and to provide equipment and a car and get them in every school in our county. It is a must that we provide a safe environment, teaching environment, and a learning environment for our kids of this county. You know, just a few days ago there was a shooting up in Maryland. Terrible. And you read every day about a shooting around a school and churches. We have to be vigilant, and that's where community policing is wonderful. Well, if we get somebody in a community that don't belong there, it's out of where they normally see them every day, maybe living in a tent or acting unusual, that information will be flowing into our department, and it does, and it has been, and we are thankful to Lincoln Memorial University's police department as well for providing us good information.
Thank you, Mr. Ray. Mr. Brooks, what are your ideas for school safety in this county?
Training, and something as simple. In these school shooting incidents, these first responders arrive. They have no clue how the building's laid out, how the hallways run. Something as simple as having a diagram of every school, every building on LMU campus, put in a 3-wing binder and given to all first responders, troopers, everybody in the area, because if something happens, it's going to take a multi-agency effort to deal with this. And when school's out, they should be practice drills, mock disasters, active shooter situations, and these officers can familiarize themselves with the building and how they're going to make a plan of action.
I'll tell you, it's a tough position. I'll say that to both of you, and that leads me into the next question. What do you really think the sheriff of Claiborne County is and or should be?
The sheriff of Claiborne County is the chief law enforcement officer. His responsibility is to keep every person safe, and especially our young people who are attending schools and the elder people, of course, who can't take care of themselves. We, as elected sheriffs, have a responsibility to our officers in the community to provide them with the best training, mentoring them to proceed on and be better at what they do. I am so proud of some of the ones that have left us for more money. We have one that I lost to the TBI as a special agent, lost one to the Alcohol Beverage Commission as a special agent, lost one to Parole Division, lost one to the Tennessee Corrections Institute inspection, and I lost one today, last night, to the city of Tazewell. I don't know how many has gone with the Tennessee Highway Patrol, but I can tell you that the people that are working for me, David Honeycutt, he's my chief investigator. Wayne Lee is my chief deputy and administrative assistant. I have people like Lynn Bailey, who has a big responsibility. These people are mentors to these young people coming aboard. We have a total of 202 people in the sheriff's department today working in the jails and working on the roads, and it takes experience as well as their education, and we look ahead of time for that education and try to get them out of the jail to make them road officers if they have that ambition and have shown that they want to stay in law enforcement. Now, we're losing those people because they're going on to better jobs, but it's the sheriff's responsibility to keep everybody safe and try to be a mentor to our younger officers and work with every agency there is.
Mr. Brooks?
The sheriff of a county is, like he said, the chief law enforcement, and that is for everybody. That's for the people in Clarfield, the people in Springdale. That's countywide. From all economic backgrounds, that's the person that people want to talk to, that's the person who is responsible to the people, to see that they're protected, to see that their burglary is being worked on and solved, to protect the schools, to run the jail, which is the biggest responsibility of all, to provide resources to other agencies and community projects and community foundations, and be held accountable and run a transparent government is the way that's what I would be if I was sheriff. That's how I would do it.
Okay, thank you. We're going to take a break and we'll be back with our closing statements.
LMU's campus, I knew this was where I belonged. I went to a small high school in San Antonio, Texas, and I was looking for a similar college experience. LMU's small classrooms provided me with hands-on instruction and an intimate learning environment. This allowed me to build strong relationships, which helped to shape the person I am today. Lincoln Memorial University isn't just a school, it's a family.
Welcome back to our Sheriff's Forum. We are now ready for our closing statements, and we will have each candidate will make a 2-minute allotment for them to make their closing. We will start with Mr. Ray.
Thanks very much for having me here and my opponent. Being sheriff of Claiborne County has more liability than any other office that's been elected to in Claiborne County. Running a jail, which today our jail is running about 260, 240 people. We're only certified for 210. In order to bypass and not get into federal court for the overcrowdedness, we have these boats, they so-called, with a mattress in them to keep them off the floor. But you have to understand the Constitution if you're a sheriff or a chief law enforcement and you provide the leadership and the management ability, with the budget being $5,900,000 each year. I have been a leader since I've been sheriff. I have tried my best to provide the management abilities. I know the 8 years that we kept federal prisoners and state prisoners, the Sheriff's Department turned in over $12 million that went into our budget, in the county budget, general fund. That money did not come back to the Claiborne County Sheriff's Department as a earmarked fund for holding those prisoners. But I have the experience, I have the management ability, and I want to be the sheriff for the next 4 years. You elect me the sheriff for the next 4 years. I ask you to vote for me and support me in this election and get out and vote early. Early voting begins this Friday. It will go on for 2 weeks, and I hope I see you somewhere on the road between now and then, and thanks again. If I did not see you during the campaign, good luck and God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Ray. Mr. Brooks?
As your sheriff, I have also managed federal inmates. In Hancock County, we kept 100 to 150 federal inmates from Washington, D.C. The county got so used to that revenue that they were spending money before they got it. And I got a phone call one day and said, we're coming out of our prisoners, we've got all our prisons built. And that left Hancock County devastated. I'm not saying that that's going to happen in Claiborne County, but federal prisoners, state prisoners is very important for the revenue. I do have experience with that. I'm asking you humbly for your vote and support. I think I can change things around and take it in a different direction. I've been all over the county. I've talked to lots and lots of people, and if I've missed you, I'm sorry that I did try to get with everybody, but it's impossible with a county this size. I want to thank LMU, Dr. Burchett, for his time. Thank you very much.
I'd like to thank each of our candidates for coming and sitting down and talking about this important office. I'd like to thank you watching us tonight. We are going to be starting early voting this coming Friday. It will run from July 13th through the 28th. Election Day is on August 2nd. And I want to remind you on several things. Please don't forget us here as Sigmund. Election night coverage will be on LMU TV. LMU Community TV 740 AM, WCXZ, and 91.3 FM WLMU. Now it's important for you to understand this presentation. The first showing will be tomorrow night at 5 o'clock on channel 24 and channel 19. And then it will also re-air on channel 4 at 5:30. That will continue each Tuesday and Thursday evening until election. Channel 24, channel 19 at 5 o'clock tomorrow and Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then 5:30 on channel 4. Don't forget, the election is coming up August 2nd, early voting the 13th through the 28th. It's been my pleasure. Please go out and vote.